The historic heart of Brisbane sports, the Gabba, is being wiped off the map to make way for a massive $3.8 billion concrete and steel giant. The famous Gabba Stadium will be demolished and replaced by a brand new 63,000-seat stadium in Victoria Park as the main home for the 2032 Olympic and Paralympic Games. This project will use 64 hectares of land to build a world-class oval stadium with a transparent roof and a giant circular hole right in the middle called an oculus. Engineers are preparing to drill through layers of old landfill and some of the hardest rock in Australia to support a structure that will hold up to 70,000 people during concerts. But can this multi-billion-dollar bet actually survive the legal battles and the geological nightmares hidden under the grass? For a long time, the plan was to upgrade and modernise the Gabba. But that plan fell apart when the numbers started looking outrageous. The original idea was to spend $1 billion to rebuild the Gabba so it could hold 50,000 people and have a running track for the Olympics. But as engineers looked closer, the price tag tripled to $2.7 billion. They realised that even if they spent all that money, the stadium would still be stuck between 4 major roads with no room to grow. The Gabba was found to be non-compliant with modern building codes and rules for people with disabilities, and the roof was literally coming to the end of its life. By early 2024, the government realised they were throwing good money after bad. The decision to move to Victoria Park was made because it offered a massive space just 5 kilometres north of the city centre. This park has a long and strange history that the engineers have to respect. What many don't know, it was once a landfill for the city, a place for an army camp during World War II, and more recently, a golf course. It is also very important to the Turrbal and Yagara people, who have lived on this land for many thousands of years. The new stadium is designed to be a Queensland response, which means it will look like the traditional houses in the area, with big porches and lots of shade to handle the blaring hot sun. But moving from an old cricket ground to a fresh park brings up some of the hardest engineering challenges in the world. How do you build a massive stadium on top of a hill made of old trash and solid rock? The first big job for the engineering teams at Victoria Park is to figure out what is happening under the dirt. In late 2025, the Games Independent Infrastructure and Coordination Authority started drilling deep holes and digging test pits across the park. This is called geotechnical drilling, and it is the most important part of the early work. Brisbane sits on a layer of bedrock that is famously hard to break. This means that to build a foundation that can hold up 63,000 screaming fans, the team has to use special heavy-duty drills to reach the solid rock layer. This rock is so tough that it can slow down construction and make it very expensive, but it is the only way to make sure the stadium doesn't sink over time. Because Victoria Park used to be a landfill, the engineers are dealing with soil that is not uniform. In some spots, they might find old trash and soft sediment, while in others, they hit that super hard rock almost immediately. They have to map out exactly where the strong points are to place the massive concrete pillars, called piles, that will act as the legs for the stadium. The site covers 64 hectares, and the stadium itself will be nestled into a natural valley to help it blend into the hills. This saves the team from having to move millions of tons of dirt, which is a huge engineering win. But if the ground is this complicated, how do they plan to keep everyone cool and dry under a roof that looks like it's floating? The roof of the new Brisbane Stadium is a masterpiece of modern engineering designed by firms called Arup and SBP. It is not a solid heavy lid like older stadiums. Instead, it is a lightweight, transparent canopy made of a high-tech material called ETFE. ETFE is a special kind of plastic that is much lighter than glass, but can withstand huge amounts of pressure and wind. Although the roof design is still not 100% de-sicted, they know it will have a giant circular hole in the middle, known as an oculus, which allows the stadium to breathe. This is critical for Brisbane's subtropical weather because it lets the hot air rise up and out of the stadium, while catching the cooling breezes from the park to keep the fans comfortable. Supporting this giant roof without any poles blocking the view is one of the hardest things for a structural engineer to do. They use a system called a long-span roof, which relies on a massive outer ring of steel and a network of cables to hold everything in place. This creates an unobstructed view for every single one of the 63,000 spectators. Inside that roof, there will be a giant wraparound LED screen that acts as a digital ring, showing replays and scores to everyone at the same time. This screen has to be light enough not to weigh down the roof, but strong enough to survive the vibration of thousands of people jumping in the stands. But once you have the roof on, how do you change the field from an Olympic running track into a football oval for the Brisbane Lions? The most clever part of the stadium's engineering is how it morphs and changes shape. For the 2032 Olympics, the stadium needs a wide area for a 40-metre wide athletics track. But for AFL and cricket, the fans want to be right on the edge of the grass. To make this work, the designers are using retractable seating tiers. This means that thousands of seats in the lower level are built on giant tracks and can be moved forward or backward depending on the sport being played. During the games, the seats stay back to show the running track, but for legacy mode, they roll forward to bring the crowd closer to the action. The grass itself is another piece of high-tech gear. Because Brisbane is so humid, the field needs a massive drainage system that can handle sudden rainstorms that drop hundreds of millimeters of water in an hour. Under the grass, there is a layer of sand and gravel with pipes that suck the water away before it can flood the field. The scientists who grow the grass have to make sure the field stays green even with a giant roof over it. They use special grow lights that move across the field to make sure every blade of grass gets enough energy to survive, to keep the surface perfect for elite athletes. But how do all these thousands of people actually get to the stadium without creating the world's biggest traffic jam? Transport is truly the secret engine that makes a stadium work. The new Brisbane Stadium is being built right next to the Cross River Rail and the Brisbane Metro busway. A brand new station at Exhibition is being constructed to move tens of thousands of people every few minutes. The plan is to have a horseshoe-shaped pedestrian walkway that links the stadium directly to the city centre through wide bridges and green paths. This ensures that people don't have to rely on cars, which is great for the environment and keeps the local streets from getting blocked up. The design includes 360-degree walkways, meaning you can walk all the way around the stadium on a single level while seeing the field and the city skyline at the same time. The engineers are also focusing on universal design, which means everything from the ramps to the elevators is built so that anyone, including people in wheelchairs, can get around without any trouble. But even with all these amazing plans, there is still a lot of drama surrounding the project. Why are some people fighting so hard to stop it from being built? The $3.8 billion price tag has made a lot of people angry. Some citizens feel that spending billions on a stadium is a bad idea when people are struggling with the current housing crisis. There is also a group called Save Victoria Park that wants to keep the area as a quiet green space rather than a loud packed-out sports precinct. Even more serious is a legal challenge from the local Aboriginal corporation, who are asking the federal government to protect the park as a sacred heritage site. They are worried that construction will destroy ancient trees and disturb the ancient history of their elders. Despite the pushback, the government is moving full steam ahead. The design team, including Cox Architecture, Hassel, and Azusa Seke, is already working on the final blueprints. Drilling is happening right now, and the first big construction machines are due to arrive in 2027. The project is a massive gamble that Brisbane can become a global city, replacing the aging Gabba with a stadium that will host AFL, cricket, and huge concerts for the next 50 years. It is a story of hard rock, high-tech plastic, and a vision to change the city's skyline forever. If you want to stay updated on how this $3.8 billion project turns out, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an update on the world's biggest construction projects. What do you think? Is Victoria Park the right place for the Olympics? Or should they have found a cheaper way? Let us know in the comments below, and see you in the next one.